Hey everyone. The half-man, half-horse creature known as the Centaur is one of the most famous beings in Greek mythology. It is a creature whose lower body and legs are that of a horse, and their torso and upper body are that of a human. They represented the realm between humans and nature. Indeed, the centaur was often stereotyped by the ancient Greeks as a creature that could not control its internal barbaric instincts. Today, let's know about a creature which created a thin line between them and the humans: centaurs. Let's start the video, but before that, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video. The birth of the centaurs begins with the human king Ixion, the king of the Lapids, the oldest tribe of Thessaly. Ixion was the son of the god Ares and the princess Pyrene. He was said to be an expert horseman and charioteer. Ixion married a woman named Dia, daughter of Dionys. The customary dowry which was owed by Ixion for the marriage went unpaid, so Dionys stole a herd of Ixion's horses for the payment. Ixion then took revenge for the stolen goods by murdering his father-in-law. He shoved him onto a pyre of wood and coals, essentially burning him to death. For this violent act, Ixion was banished from his society. The only one who took pity on Ixion was the god Zeus, invited the human to Mount Olympus. It was at Mount Olympus that Ixion again acted poorly after meeting Zeus's wife Hera and pursuing her. But Zeus was all-knowing. Before a true affair began, Zeus created a cloud in the shape of Hera to trick the human king. When Ixion made love to the cloud, what was created was Centaurs, who would go on to create the race of centaurs. As for Ixion, after bragging to the rest of the world that he had been with Zeus's wife, Zeus unleashed his full wrath by tying Ixion to a flaming wheel and sending it into the world to spin for all eternity. Greek mythology is full of horrible punishments. Many modern-day researchers argue the symbolism of the fiery wheel. Many say that the fire symbolizes the sun god Helios. But research points to the spinning wheel symbolizing an agonizing ending, a never-ending punishment for all eternity. Many artifacts depicting the event even include snakes that were secured to the wheel, torturing Ixion forever. The moral of the story is: never double-cross Zeus. It was said that the centaurs lived in numerous tribes around the region called Pelion in Magnesia. This was located on the coast of central Greece. They dwelled in the surrounding mountains and forests. Writers and poets such as Pindar and Homer included centaurs in their works. Pindar gave us the origin story and name centaur. Homer described similar creatures but did not use the term centaurs. What remained the same name between the stories was that these creatures were monsters. They were especially violent towards women, with many stories of rape and attacks. It was originally believed that all centaurs were male. This accounted for all the stories of kidnapping and raping women. But in later mythology, especially Roman, female centaurs began to emerge. The common theme among stories involving centaurs was of a civilization fighting bravely while triumphantly defeating these barbarians of nature. The Centauromachy is a story of one such epic battle between civilization and the half-man, half-horse creatures. In this story, the king of the Lapids, Pirithous, was to be married to Hippodamia. Remember, it is believed that centaurs were descendants of the former Lapid king, Ixion. Because the centaurs were kinsfolk to these people, they were represented at the wedding ceremony. As was customary to the behavior of the centaurs, they became drunk and decided to abduct all the women at the ceremony, including the bride. The Greek heroes Theseus, Peleus, and Nestor were present at the wedding and ready to defend their people from the ways of the Centaurs. Many of the Centaur race died that day, and the ones who survived were said to have fled Thessaly and created new tribes in Malaya and Mount Pholo. It was the Lapids who especially hated the Centaurs and wanted them removed from existence, as they recognized the ancestral connection between themselves and the man-beasts. Lapids knew that the Centaurs represented the idea that they too could become evil, vile creatures. The Lapids were merciless in trying to rid civilization of the Centaurs. Another such story involved a centaur named Nessus who worked as a ferryman. He transported travelers across the river Ivenus on his back. Hercules and his wife Danaera were one of those travelers. When Nessus safely delivered Danaera to the other side of the river, he decided he wanted to have his way with her and ran off into the woods with her still on his back. Holding on for dear life upon the charging Nessus, Danaera screamed and her husband heard her cries. Hercules took chase and shot his bow with a poisoned arrow into the heart of the centaur. Some accounts of the story relay that, as the centaur lay dying, he plotted his revenge against the hero. Nessus told Danaera that if she would take a small vial of his blood, a great advantage would one day be hers. He explained that if her husband's love for her ever seemed to fade, a potion made from his blood and poured on her husband's clothes would revive his love for her. Years passed. When the wife eventually felt her husband's love fading, she did as the dying Nessus had told her to do. Upon dressing in the clothing that was soaked in Nessus's blood, Hercules' skin began to burn. The powerful blood, which was indeed a poison, killed the hero, Hercules. The most well-known centaur was named Chiron. He was a friend to numerous heroes of Greek mythology. The wisest of all the centaurs, Chiron acted as a tutor to many Greek heroes. The opposite of his savage counterparts, Chiron was a civilized, well-educated scholar. To explain his discrepancy between savage centaurs and the scholar centaur, many believe that Chiron had different parents and did not descend from the failure Ixion. Chiron's lineage made him a steed and therefore immortal. Chiron lived in a cave atop Mount Pelion in Magnesia. It was said that he studied many subjects there, including medicine and music. It was believed by many in Greek mythology that Chiron was the father of medicine and surgery. It was said that these intellectual gifts were given to Chiron by the gods Artemis and Apollo. But it was also surmised that he gained his knowledge by learning from these gods. Chiron married Chariclo, a nymph of Mount Pelion. Nymphs were female deities that were mainly responsible for the care of plants and animals. They were not immortal, but normally lived a long time and were said to be very fertile. Even though they were ranked below the gods, they were still invited to the assemblies of the gods on Olympus. The marriage between Chiron and Chariclo was said to have brought forth many sons, daughters, and an unknown number of nymphs as well. The group of nymphs born to the couple were called Pleionides. Chiron was known as a great teacher and tutor to many gods and heroes, including Perseus, Theseus, Jason, Ajax the Great, Patroclus, and his greatest pupil, Achilles. Chiron taught skills that were needed by men, including medicine and understanding which plants were useful for healing, music, archery, and hunting. He explained the constellations and the legends behind them. Although Chiron was believed to be immortal, he did eventually meet his death in a unique way. One of Hercules' poison arrows struck Chiron in the knee. Although he was immortal, the poison still caused excruciating pain in Chiron's body. He suffered for 9 days before admitting that he would rather be dead than live with the agonizing pain forever. When Chiron died, he was placed in the heavens amongst the stars as part of the constellation Centaurus. Centaurs are one of the most recognizable characters in Greek mythology. They are still referenced an unlimited number of times in modern culture. Centaurs have been mentioned in novels, graphic novels, movies, televisions, and video games. Centaurs are usually depicted as wild and uncivilized. In J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter series, centaurs do have some skills that are productive to society but are mainly portrayed as barbarians. The centaur Firenze teaches at Hogwarts and is known for his intelligence in astronomy and healing remedies. In Rick Riordan's Percy Jackson series, they are wild and reckless except for the educated Chiron. As in many cases and in stories of Greek mythology, although centaurs were looked at as reckless and wild, they also possessed knowledge. Images of centaurs have also been seen in ancient art as well as more modern examples. Pottery and paintings from ancient Greek civilization show well-known characters such as Medusa as a centaur. Scientists have discovered a combination of ways to depict centaurs. Scenes portraying centaurs were found at the Temple of Zeus in Olympia, which was created in the 5th century. They are also found exquisitely carved at the Parthenon. The line between civilization and nature can be thin. The centaurs represented animalistic impulses which the Greek gods and heroes knew everyone possessed deep down. Perhaps this is why the centaur is still used in many modern cultural references, forever linking nature with the human race. In a place where civilized strength and intelligence meet an animalistic urge to drink, party, plunder, and take what we desire, we have the centaurs. Well, that's it for today. I hope you're liking Nerdies discoveries. Can't wait for the next video to learn more and be fascinated about. Don't forget to subscribe. See you on the next. Bye.